Hello everyone. Today we're going to step it up a little bit in terms of the um, design and the features that Google Drawing offers you as a student when you are creating a drawing in this particular platform. So I borrowed a student's work um, just kind of to have something to show you. And as you can see, this is their design. And they had a lot more happening here, but I only used a little just as an example. I want to show you more features that you can use to add to your timeline Google Drawing. As you can see here, the student has an image, and she originally had this in black. And what I want to show you here is what you should keep in mind as you put together the timeline. When you click on the name of the event that you're choosing, um, it will let you know basically how to align this sentence, this phrase under the box. So however you manipulate the blue box around will help you to center the phrase. And so here what I'm doing is just making sure it's centered. And when you click away from it, you can see a lot better how centered it is underneath the box. And that's important. Otherwise, if you leave it as it is and you place it everywhere or anywhere, you can see that it's sticking out a bit too much. So you really want to make sure that your timeline is visually appealing and you set it as centered as possible, and um, fix it up so that it's an visually appealing timeline. So I think this is as centered as I can get it. Now, the words, and you could probably mess with it a bit more, but just to give you the idea of how the box helps you center the words underneath the box, the image. Highlighting this, I think this is an easy one, but one that you may want to think about. You don't have to use it, but you can add color, obviously, to your words. Let me see. Highlighting here. Oh, I'm using the wrong one. Sorry. The letter A. That's where I'm clicking. So the letter A for the word, and then purple. There it goes. And B for bold. Okay. Now, what I did here accidentally is I placed a box underneath already around it. I really don't suggest that. I really suggest you go transparent. Notice where I clicked. Keep it transparent. Otherwise, it's going to be a box and a box, and this is too much, too many boxes. And even though I chose purple, I really think you should keep it consistent for the sake of visually appealing timeline. So I really think you should use the same color throughout. So blue instead. Here we go. So now it's just nice and clean because the colors are the same. Otherwise, it's going to be so color-coded that it's going to be crazy to even notice your actual image and the caption underneath because of everything that you have happening. All right, so that's that. So aligning your phrase underneath the image and the color. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you is that you have options here. Do you see where it says image options? If you click here, this box opens. And if you click on this little upside down triangle, you actually see the same design of the timeline here. And you've got different choices of colors. So you can do pink, and look at that. You can do like this blue color. Any color you choose will add color to your to the lines of your timeline design. And this is nice. So this is definitely something I would recommend if you want to go in that direction. Otherwise, keep it normal. And all I did was I clicked on no recolor, and that's that. And I think this option of image options is offered for each of the different designs that I sent to you. So I think you should mess with it to see whether or not you find it, and you can adjust the color of the design. So that's the other thing I wanted to show you. And one more thing I believe I want to show you. I think replace the image. I didn't click on that. I think it's just going to do something else, so don't go there, at least not yet, until I tell you otherwise. So, and you can close here. All right, so now I wanted to show you the arrows that you can use. Now there's two different ways to do it. You can click here where it says select the line. You can do a line, arrow, elbow connector, so on and so forth. I find this a lot easier to do if you have a mouse attached to your keyboard. But with the mouse pad on our laptops, it's still possible, but just trickier to do. It really is. And the reason you may want to use these lines, a reason for, is that, for example, these students have the Enlightenment 1700, and then they have the Stamp Act of 1765. Well, obviously, you know, it's not like this is under here necessarily, right? They could do an arrow. So, for example, kind of pointing out that 1765 is actually somewhere here. So you do the arrow, and these little purple dots will appear. I don't know where, but they do. So as long as you have clicked and you see the plus sign, kind of align your mouse to where you want to draw that arrow, that line, and just do something like this and release it, and there it is. Now you can also leave it like this and leave it black or add color to it. Now be careful, because the thing about Google Drawing is unless you take off the command, it won't know that you don't want to keep doing arrows or lines. So unclick it, and this way you just have the one that you have here. Otherwise, it's going to start putting arrows, arrows, arrows everywhere. But as I was saying, if you want to add color, you click on it again, go up to here, line color, and do maybe blue. And see, it turned blue. Really pretty, okay? And then this lets the person who is reading the timeline know that, 1765 is here. You're referring to it here in this case. You don't have to do this, but as I said, different ways to be creative with the timeline and to also have you practice the many different features of Google Drawing. And that's a good skill. So I'm going to leave this here. I was going to erase it, but I'm going to leave it here. And I'm going to show you one more other feature that you may want to use, and that's here. So next to the selecting the lines, okay, you can also try what is called, let me click out here again, what is called shapes. Okay, click on shape, and you've got shapes you can use. Now, I don't think for our timeline these will work, but this for arrows will. Not so much the callouts, I don't think so, or the equation, I don't think so. But the arrows will probably work depending on the type of timeline design that you chose. Now for this one, I think this may be doable, this particular one, the left up arrow, so I'm going to click on it. And another choice to signal to the person who is reading your timeline is that this particular event took place in 1765, give or take around this spot on the timeline. So you see the plus sign, and so the trick is to manipulate it in such a way that, let me see, try this again, call outs, and here we go, right here. This is the one. Here we go, and I'm just going to expand it. There we go, and there it is. Voila. It's tricky, I know, because it's not immediately showing you where the arrow is at. And like I said, it's a little bit easier using a mouse, but not impossible even with the mouse pad. But so I'm going to delete it again, just so I can show you. Okay, so callouts are here, our arrows are here, and this is the one that I think works to point out that this is where, and notice this, it's just, there's a red line that shows, which is kind of in the way. All you need to do is just, press down on the mouse pad so that you can begin to see where the arrow is, and then figure out how high up you want to take it or how much you want to stretch it in terms of the width. And so there it is. And I think this one also allows me to add color, and sure enough, you see where I'm pointing, the bucket one? And it's the bucket because it fills it in as opposed to the line, because this would be the line, and this is filling inside this arrow. So I'm going to do blue. I'm going to just be consistent with blue, and there it is. Okay, so if you want to, you can do this to your timeline, but you don't have to use arrows if you don't want to. You could if you want to, but you don't have to. Again, I think it's just really good practice and in knowing how to use Google Drive and its many options. And I think that's that I want to say for this particular part of the explanation. I have one more other thing to tell you, but that's going to be on a separate audio recording.